Okay, let's be honest for a moment. Have you ever looked back on your life and thought, man, I wish someone had told me that sooner? All right, get comfortable because I'm going to spill the tea on life lessons today. Discover much too late, I promise. Some of these will cause you to reconsider everything. And before you say, nah, I've got my life figured out, let me tell you something. You don't? That's all right. I wasn't either. So let's get into the positive and the harsh realities, chuckles, and the information that no one else will share with you. But should one of your jobs not define you, allow me to begin with something that may incite some anger in some folks. You are not defined by your job, despite what society may have us believe. That your worth is determined by your title. You must be really successful if you're a lawyer. Okay, so you work as a barista? That's a charming side gig, but can we ignore the harsh reality if your entire identity is entwined with the career you are preparing for? Disappointing jobs come and go. Some are soul-crushing, while others are amazing. There was a moment when all of them came from you, yet none of them defined who you were as a person. When I was completely guilty of this, I had a high-pressure job with a respectable title, reasonable salary, and surprise, I was miserable. But I held on to it because I reasoned that since this is who I am today, people will respect me for it. Spoiler alert. When you're under a lot of stress and missing lunch to meet deadlines, nobody gives a damn about your title. Hating your life now that I'm doing something totally different, and the best part is that I'm much happier, despite the fact that you know what I mean? A new job isn't something that would impress people at a dinner party. Oh my goodness, that's the freedom I want you to feel when you stop caring. What I do for a living, I'm a professional badass who appreciates mental tranquility. Honestly, no one should introduce themselves to you other than that way must provide their job title as evidence of their value. You are more valuable than the amount on your paycheck or the fancy title on your hobbies, and the way you treat people are your business card. And allow me go one step further by being engrossed in your life. A job is a diversion from the things that truly count in life. Yes, I did say that sometimes you forget to ask yourself these questions because you're too focused on moving up the career ladder. This is your work. Do I truly feel pleased, or am I just seeking status? Can be a portion of you, but it doesn't make up who you are. You are a complete being with dreams, relationships, and a life outside of work, which I became aware of throughout my conscious awakening. I once asked myself in the mirror whether I wasn't performing this work. Sincerely, the answer to the question of whether I still enjoy who I am is no. That was the moment I realized that a change was necessary. Therefore, if your work doesn't fulfill you, or you feel like you're only as valuable as your title, let me remind you that you are more than just your job. Much more. The sooner you understand it, the sooner you can begin creating a life that genuinely brings you joy. Not simply what looks good on paper, so yes, when someone asks what you do, they should know. Simply tell them, I live life, baby, since it is the truth while also being kind. Won't save you, all right? It's time for some honest conversation. Stated it. Be kind and good things will come to you is a common message from society. Warning, there is no secret formula for success or happiness when it comes to being kind. And it won't stop people from stepping all over you either. Being kind doesn't always equate to being respected. Occasionally, however, it's a quick route to becoming accustomed to and disregarded. So back in the I was the most polite person in the room that day, always agreeing and never upsetting anyone. Do you know what happened? I got steamrolled because folks knew I wouldn't push. Return so they could overburden me with work, disrupt me at meetings, and profit from my goodwill. Did I receive rewarded for being the good guy? No doubt about it. But I just felt more overwhelmed and enraged. so allow me to strike you. I didn't want to offend anyone, but here's the truth. Kind people usually finish last because they don't set boundaries. And I tried being Captain Nice, but I got no respect in return. Does this sound familiar? I thought I was rescuing the world by being kind, but you know what happened? I ended up with everyone's soiled laundry and zero gratitude. It seems like you've taken on the role of problem solver, but nobody's. It turns out that overcoming your difficulties doesn't make you a hero. Instead, it just makes you accessible for the convenience of others. And believe me when I say that Cape gets... Don't get me wrong, kindness is important, but after a while this has become heavy. The contentious aspect, excessive nies, is a kind of self-defeating. Yes, I did say that when you go above and above for others all the time, you're teaching them that their needs are unimportant. And guess what? They'll accept that setting limits and saying no don't make you a selfish person or a bad person. Proves your intelligence since, in the process of saying yes to everyone else, you're really saying no to yourself. I've discovered that being kind is not the same as being genuine over time. I used to believe that in order to be loved, I had to always say yes and be polite. But in striving, I was betraying myself in order to appease everyone else. And trust me, that's hazardous. Being kind on the road doesn't imply that you should put up with those who treat you badly. Begins with treating yourself with kindness, which entails establishing limits and saying no, even when it ruffles a few feathers. You must and will stand up for what you believe in. I will always remember the day I at last spoke up for myself at work. I had a co-worker who would always dump her. Duties on me, knowing that I wouldn't back down one day, so naturally I snapped politely and replied, "I apologize, but I'm really busy with work today. You'll have to figure it out." I was trembling, believing that the world was going to end, but surprise, didn't end. In fact, she ceased requesting that I perform her work when I learned something from her. It shows me that you can maintain your dignity while being firm without being cruel. Here's the thing. You don't have to stop being kind to people, but you do need to combine that kindness with a strong sense of morality. Pleasant, but don't let it compromise your sanity. No prizes are given out for having the cutest doormat. Being kind is strong, but being kind with self-respect is even more powerful. You won't be saved by being nice, but you will be saved the next time you're... Before you agree solely to win someone over, consider whether you're being nice or just avoiding conflict. The outcome may surprise you. And keeping in mind that being kind doesn't imply being a pushover, just means that you know when to offer assistance and when to let others handle their own issues. I promise that they'll be fine. Love isn't enough, okay? Let's just stop sulking for a minute. We've all up with the belief that all you need is love, thanks to Hollywood and Disney. How many times, after all, have we been given that charming little deception that turns out to be love? Yes, I said that, and some people will truly find it offensive, but it's not enough on its own. I chose this one because we've been indoctrinated to think that everything will work out if you simply love someone enough. Miraculously resolve all of your issues and resolve your conflicts. Oh, but surprise! Love doesn't fix communication problems or pay the expenses. Let me be honest with you. Love won't heal a toxic relationship, nor will difficulties. Just to give you a brief update, I was previously in a relationship where there was no question that we loved one another and had chemistry. The butterflies and the passion, yet we were unable to speak to save our lives. I kept reminding myself that every fight was disastrous and that we never resolved anything, but we still love one another, so spoiler alert, it didn't get better. It took me a while to discover that love isn't some kind of miraculous glue that unquestionably ties everything together. Love and genuine communication are like duct tape on a sinking ship. They work wonders. Might hold for a while, But let's tear it down, because it will eventually fall. Here are some issues that love cannot resolve. Poor life objectives. Love never ends, even when there's that one person who never does the dishes. When someone puts dirty dishes in the sink for the millionth time, you might want to choke them. But hold on, I had the impression that love could overcome anything, but newsflash, it can't. That's all right. Love is significant, but if you're depending on love alone this is when it gets spicy in relationships work. You're in for an unpleasant surprise. Love does not always imply staying. Yes, I did say that occasionally you can love someone profoundly and still have to part ways because love cannot make up for. You can love someone and yet be miserable in their company despite having fundamentally different goals from them. I know it's possible, although this isn't the happily ever after we all hope for. Individuals live poisonous, miserable lives in real life, partnerships, because they believe that since we love each other, everything will work out in the end. However, Karen, if you don't trust each other, or if your ideals aren't in line, you will be in constant conflict. Love can't mend that. It's like trying to use a band-aid to heal a shattered bone. I recall that following that breakup, I was heartbroken, but I couldn't stop thinking that we loved one another and couldn't make it work, and struck me like a ton of bricks. The issue isn't that love isn't the solution. We didn't talk, we didn't develop as a team, and we lacked the resources and compatibility to make it work. The deeper fact is that love is an insufficient solution to address those deeper problems. Basis, but it's not the entire structure. You also need to have respect, trust, communication, compromise, and yes, even a love can be strong at times, but it's only a little portion of the whole. Equation relationships are labor-intensive, demand effort, and occasionally even after all, even with all the love in the world, they are still unresolved. I realize this is harsh, but love may exist even when you know you have to let someone go. It's all so liberating. Love does not have to entail being in a relationship. You can love someone and still decide that they're not the ideal person for you. Though love is wonderful, there are situations that exhaust you or hold you back, and it doesn't make the love any less real. The next time you're about to declare, "Love will fix this," realize that love is not a magic solution to all of your issues. Is more akin to a spark and requires other elements to maintain the fire than a mechanism. Burning need fuel, air, and occasionally a very important relationship. At the end of the day, love is therapy, and sometimes you simply have to go before you burn the house down. A decision. It's about deciding on one another every day, even in difficult circumstances. But it's also important to decide what's best for you. Never continue a relationship because you think the love will fade, will wane if you go, since love endures beyond the termination of a relationship. Energy fluctuates, changes, and sometimes is best expressed as thus. If you're wondering why there isn't enough love in the world, know that you're not alone. Love isn't meant to do all the work by itself. It's only one aspect of a much larger picture. And maybe the greatest lesson in love is knowing when to let go. Okay, that's enough romantic rhetoric for now. Go forth and show someone you love, not just a rough moment, doesn't care about your justifications. Let me smash you. Time is a cruel but necessary force that doesn't give a damn about your justifications. The ultimate savage, it never stops. Know of how many excuses you invent to avoid doing it. The issue, regardless of whether you're being fearful or simply indolent, is that we all believe we have more time than we actually have. It's not my problem. I'll finish it tomorrow because I'm currently too busy, or I'll wait for my personal favorite. For the appropriate moment, yes, but according to recent events, that moment never arrives. A red carpet, so you'd better hurry up because time is running out. My friend, I'm not going to slow down for you. I used to be the master of justifications. I had a project I wanted to undertake that I was really excited about, but every day I had an excuse. Too exhausted from work, I'll start next week. I need to do some additional study on your name. I mentioned that weeks became months, and you can imagine how little progress I made. 0. I wasted a lot of time waiting for everything to be ideal, and you know when that happens. Didn't wait for me one day, and I had a wake-up call that I wouldn't get back then. All of my justifications were in vain because time continued to pass. Now let me tell you, whenever you feel like you're in a lazy state, it felt like I had been slapped in the face. This never-ending sprint against the clock that makes you feel like it's absurd that you're still making excuses while the clock is slapping you. The fact is that time isn't this. It's not about winning the marathon while you're still attempting to tie your shoes. Whether you're working or binge-watching Netflix, this amazing thing moves when it's ready. And the best cruel moments such as don't care, didn't ask, keep up. It's rough, but that's what makes it very good. Now for the contentious part. Yes, I did say it. Most of us aren't as busy as we seem like we are. Occupied, diverted and engrossed in programs on social media, or merely we prefer to claim that we're too busy to pursue our aspirations, yet when we're psychologically well, actually we're just making up reasons. And let's not even talk about how I don't have time. Listen, Beyoncé has the exact same number of hours in a day as you do, a team, but the key idea is that we all have the same amount of time each day. The only thing that matters is how we decide to use it. The issue isn't with time, rather, it's with you. I realized one day that I was constantly too busy to do the things that genuinely meant anything, like spending time with my loved ones, or pursuing my passion initiatives, or simply looking after myself. I had plenty of justifications, but I wasn't doing a good job of managing my time. And you know who didn't give a damn? My time excuses. But one day I noticed that years had passed without joke, and I can assure you that there is nothing else to show for it. More humble than discovering you wasted years justifying yourself, yet it's better to learn time is the most valuable resource. So learn this deeper lesson now rather than later. All we have, and we squander a lot of it waiting for the ideal opportunity to justify our actions or acting too fearfully. To action time doesn't give a damn about your worries, motivations, or procrastination never stops, whether you're ready or not, and the worst part is that you can never get it back. Time passes quickly and irrevocably, which is why it's crucial to quit waiting. Quit justifying yourself and just get started, regardless of how dirty it is or how afraid you are. If you're not ready, stop because, well, time doesn't care. It's simply ticking, and you'll never be completely ready. Squandering time if you have a dream. Pursue it if you've been delaying doing it now because, well, time isn't stopping for you. And if you don't make time for what matters in life, there isn't a stop button, I promise. Time will decide for you. So let's face it, it's not the end of the world. However, if you continue to make excuses, it's undoubtedly not in your favor. So quit waiting. Await the ideal moment and simply go for it. You'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. Achieve when you cease allowing time to elapse at the conclusion of. The one thing that is beyond our control is the daytime. It passes by either without us. But the good news is that you have power over what you do with it. Make the decision today to quit wasting time with justifications. Life is too short. The time is running out if you're waiting for the ideal moment to start that project or make a change. Stop waiting for your sign to appear. It's not waiting for you. Instead, get out there, and I promise you, you won't regret making the most of your time and remembering to cherish every moment. doesn't give a damn about your justifications, so quit giving them and simply do what you... Well, let's be honest for a moment. Your health is everything. The majority of us, however, approach our bodies as though they are disposable, something we can easily reset whenever we feel like. Spoiler alert. You cannot exchange your body with another person like that. Broken down old car. Unless you start paying attention, things will continue to break down. Everybody has been there, eating bad food while burning the candle at both ends because we're too busy and somehow convinced we can take care of everything later. However, allow me to share with you something. Contentious later doesn't arrive until your physical self gives you a wake-up call. I was that person once, someone who stated, "After this deadline, I'll start focusing on my health." When I started working out the following month, I believed I could run forever. Guess what happened to my body after years of stress, coffee, and processed food? Shut down one day. I was so exhausted that I was unable to move from my bed. My body felt like junk, I had no energy, and my stress levels were through the roof. Oh, you want to ignore me? That's okay. Here's a little sample of what that seems like at that point. Recognizing I had become a human potato, I made the decision. Now let's get serious. After years of negligence, this is my first workout. I felt like I was about to pass out just from climbing the stairs. It was like attempting to lift a vehicle with spaghetti arms. However, I had been persuading myself that I was too busy to exercise. It turns out that I wasn't too busy. Rather, I was just making justifications, since I was unwilling to cope with the irony that my health was getting worse, the less I was able to complete in reality. Therefore, I tried to save time by skipping. Exercise and junk food were actually wasting my time since I felt so bad. This is the contentious part. You should prioritize your health above all else. Not if you're not well, nothing matters. Not your relationships, not your work, nor your deadlines. We live in a society where you cannot be present for anyone or anything. Yeah, you know, those Instagram photos the ones where burnout is glorified, work hard, slumber later, or take no days off as a team. Let me tell you something though. Absurdity. If you break down due to unhealthy and overworked conditions, guess what happens? Nothing appears out of nowhere. A prize for pushing oneself to the limit. News flash. You can actually end up with a medical bill if you're constantly exhausted, unproductive, and simply going through the motions like a zombie. Let's be honest. Since actual zombies aren't exactly renowned for finishing their to-do lists, following my after having a health scare, I changed my diet and stopped exercising. Crazy, I started experiencing things gradually but steadily. Alert and concentrated once more, feeling more vibrant than I had in years, and producing more than I discovered that investing in your health has benefits for all other aspects of your life. So I wasn't only doing it I was doing it for myself, to improve in every friend-related role I play. A colleague and at work, believe me, I was the king of bad. If I can do it, anyone can. Habits nowadays. I genuinely like caring for myself, and it's not like I'm some health nut. It's because I've come to understand how much better life is when I'm not pursuing fumes. The fundamental fact is that you only have one body, so if you're not taking care of it, take care of it now to avoid hurting yourself later. I'm referring to burnout. Even chronic ailments can be brought on by stress, and the worst part is that most of us. It's easy to overlook your health when we wait until something major goes wrong before we pay attention, when everything seems good or you're young. But I'm here to tell you that your health is the cornerstone of everything. Nothing else matters if your health is poor. You can't work hard if you're too. You can't be there for your loved ones if you're always exhausted and unable to get out of bed. If you're constantly dealing with stress or fatigue, how can you enjoy life? Conclusion: You don't have to become an extreme fitness fanatic to care about your body. Don't wait for a health concern to make you do so, or include kale in every meal. The important thing is to start taking care of yourself. If you exercise and consume a vegetable occasionally, your future self will thank you. And no, I'm not suggesting you give up on all the enjoyable things I'm still doing. I'm going to enjoy my pizza evenings and lazy Sundays, but moderation is key. Since everything improves, your attitude, your productivity, and your overall health, relationships, and you know what? Rather than merely dragging yourself through life, you'll genuinely have the energy to enjoy it. Ultimately, your health is the most valuable resource you have. It serves as the cornerstone for all other aspects of your life. If you're consistently, you are only existing, not truly living, whether you are exhausted, anxious, or ill. Take care of your body. Life is too short to focus only on survival. Looking a specific way or hitting the gym 7 days a week, it's about respecting the truth that if you want to live a fully contented and joyful life, this is the only body you have. Okay, that's all there is to it for now. Lead a productive life, and your health must come first. Health PSA. Now go sip some water, go for a stroll, and perhaps decompress. Beverages. I promise that 6 years later you'll be grateful. The biggest regrets come from what you did not do. Let's be clear about your biggest regrets. Life is not about the mistakes you do. Rather, it's about the things you choose not to do. Yes, I said it, but no, I'm not. Just talking about the major things, like how I should have asked that guy out or climbed Mount Everest, discussing all the small choices we avoid making out of fear, laziness, or the desire to wait for the ideal opportunity to ruin everything. There is never a perfect moment. You are aware of this when you witness someone else living. The life you imagine and wonder, why didn't I do that? Well, surprise. That tiny ping in your chest known as regret, and it hurts like crazy, far more than failing at something. Notice that I'm not merely preaching. I've experienced life. I recall that I had this one opportunity that presented itself. It was dangerous, to be sure, but it was also a chance I wanted. Rather than rushing into something I was truly excited about, I hesitated and spent weeks thinking of excuses for why I wasn't ready, the proper moment, and before I realized it, the chance had passed. That regret is more painful than any failure I've ever experienced, because I wasn't unhappy about I was disappointed, because I never really given myself the chance to attempt and fail. And I assure you that's a very different kind of sorrow. It's amazing how we don't regret quite as much the things we tried and didn't succeed at, as we regret the things we convinced ourselves we could avoid. And ever observe that nobody is lying up at night, contemplating whether or not I truly should have embarked on that adventure. I never regret sharing myself, and I always ask myself why I didn't go on that trip, or why didn't I take advantage of that chance. The things we choose not to do haunt us, and let's face it, we all have an emotional list of things we should have that we always carry with us. Baggage. But fortunately you don't have to keep adding items to that list one by one. This is where things get spicy. Yes, I did say it. Playing it safe is overrated. We're all taught to have a plan, exercise caution, and consider our options. But here's the thing. If you simply make safe decisions throughout your life, you'll wind up in a pretty uninteresting place, since safety doesn't suit you. Anywhere thrilling and secure doesn't bring back memories or inspire tales, and people believe that failing is the worst thing that can happen, but it certainly doesn't bring you fulfillment. The difficult part of dying is understanding you never really tried. This is where the contentious part comes in. Safe is a quick route to regret, as people aren't afraid of failing. Instead, they play it safe because they're afraid of what other people will think of their failure. However, the folks who are out there accomplishing amazing things aren't playing it safe. They're taking risks, making errors, and collecting stories, not regrets. But let me be honest. The times in my life that I regret the most are the ones where I refrained from taking the risk, included the time I delayed moving to a new place out of fear of abandoning my comfort zone, or the period of time I refrained from pursuing a passion project since it appeared too dangerous. Each time I tried it safe, I missed the chance to develop and live a fresh adventure. Yet, the lesson I took away from those regrets is that I would far sooner attempt and fail than for the rest of my life I will wonder what if. And let me tell you, that mental shift, it liberates you. It's like granting oneself permission to be fearless, untidy, and live without regrets. The truth is that you shouldn't live with regrets that haunt you. The ones concerning your actions are the ones concerning your inactions. The discussions you skipped, the aspirations you didn't pursue, the opportunities you didn't work out. And you know what? Life is too short to continue putting things off. The day we regret not taking the chance is when we regret not taking the risk nearly as much as we regret our failures to pursue our passion. We regret not being honest with others about how we truly feel and not traveling while we had the opportunity. So follow my advice and don't wait until it's too late or allow fear to stop you. You can't live the life you truly want because of fear or doubt about failure. Sure, it hurts, but remorse plagues you. So here's the strategy. Quit worrying, quit second-guessing yourself, and just go for it, be it a major goal, a little journey, or even a have the talk you've been putting off. You don't want to regret not having had it in 10, 20, or 50 years. Did I not tell you that having stories about failed endeavors is preferable to having regrets about things you never did, even attempted? And hey, even if you don't succeed, you'll still have an incredible story to tell, much better than I did. So leave. I was afraid to act. There, you can choose bravely and boldly, and at the end, the world will be waiting for you. Of the day is made up of moments. Some of them will be chaotic, others will be lovely, and some will undoubtedly be extremely hectic. But you already know that the only moments you'll regret are the ones you never allowed yourself to possess. So go ahead and make the move. Say what needs to be said. The fact that, in the end, your greatest regrets stem from the things you chose not to do rather than the things you tried and failed at. All good. So that's my advice for the day. Now go on and do action, something you will be grateful for in the future and have no regrets about. Just do it, my friends. I promise you'll be happy you did. That's all. Keep in mind that life is too short to let excuses or fears prevent you from achieving your goals. Taking care of your health, living a regret-free life, or getting rid of things that don't benefit you. Ultimately, it all comes down to doing the actions that will get you closer to living the life you really want. You are in charge and have the ability to make meaningful decisions, take calculated chances, and design a life that's full of adventures rather than regrets. Therefore, move forth and launch that project, or just take the first tiny step toward anything new, and I promise you will in the future. Be cheering yourself on for your brave decisions today. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and found it thought-provoking or humorous, please hit the like button and tell someone else about it. Just a little encouragement, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. I hope you have many more laughs and life lessons ahead of you. That's all for now. With no more justifications, go out there and create some magic, because your best life is waiting for you. Delays proceed with it.